do Mandalorian next. We got it.
Alright, Mandalorian.
Gotta be Mandalorian.
So, how do we start? How would we start this?
It was
Pretty good.
It's
That's
pretty
quite good.
good, considering it's directed by bloody Robert Rodriguez. Robert Rodriguez said most of the plot that he dealt with it in like a few minutes, and then the rest of it he just plugged up with action. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I can see that, because the plot is interesting and it does a lot of stuff for the story, but then the action is also very good. So it's like, there you go. He said it was a 12-year-old dream, and he added that script for The Mandalorian was only 19 pages long, and then he added a lot of action to this.
It's a more interesting episode for me than Ahsoka.
It got me more hyped from that one.
It got me way more hyped. But I also do have a molding for it as well. And I'll get in, not in like a bad way, but like I'm beginning to get a little nervous on something with it. But this episode was awesome. We got to see finally Boba Fett make his triumphant return.
Oh,
We actually got to see Boba Fett be competent at his job.
yeah.
Yes. But you know what I loved though? I loved how he was a bit chubby for his armor.
Yeah.
He looks so
Well, that's-
good in that armor. He was just killing everyone. He was
Even
thinking, oh, this person.
Before Boba and interact, you see Slave One, and you're like, one.
Slave One. I did not know he would still be piloted. Where do we leave off with Slave One? Where's the last time we see that on screen?
Empire.
To be fair, fairly quickly, what I thought was going to happen was that they'd get hit or intercepted by something, and then they'd do the Typhon stuff at the end. But no, they do it at the start, and then it all plays out on Typhon.
I gotta admit, I wasn't won over by how Typhon looked. I had higher expectations. Like, it was a cool looking bush planet, you know. I was kind of hoping we'd see more kind of temples or remnants or something like that. I was a little more excited for that. But when I saw it, I was like, oh, and then you see the Seeing Stone and it's just on this hill, and it's like, okay, all right, still cool. I'm still on board completely.
Having never experienced the MMO, I don't know what Typhon's like, so my expectations weren't there.
It's nothing grand, you know. What you see is kind of what Typhon is, but I was just kind of hoping that we'd see more remnants of the Jedi, you know, because, you know, like in Rogue One, where you see like pillars that have fallen over that depicted Jedi. I was kind of hoping for a bit more of that, but it looked fine, and the Seeing Stone looked awesome. And when he sits down on it, you know, he goes straight Buddha, and you just there's this little again, like, it's an interesting thing to kind of like theory craft. It's like, because he did make a connection. He did. I don't know how this thing works, whether he connects or whether he's like, you know, an aerial that people can connect to. Because I've heard some people say, you know, who did Grogu connect to? But it's like, maybe it isn't like that. What was the aim?
Like
it was just so he could sit on the stone, so Jedi may sense him and come for him, so he can choose his own path. Yeah.
I wonder if he did then connect with anyone, or if anyone did feel him out.
We will probably find out in the finale.
When you think about the episode, not a lot happens, really.
No.
So then you get to Boba Fett. I don't know if there's anything really interesting there. Well, actually, no, it's kind of interesting later.
He's the one who saved Fennec Shand.
Yeah.
I think who's got robo abs now, because somehow that makes sense.
I didn't love that either, to be honest. But I think it was expected.
You could just slap a robotic part on anybody and suddenly they're fixed.
Pretty much. It really is. Like, I don't know why Qui-Gon died in episode 1. And Jesus, get him back. He's fine.
Qui-Gon gets stabbed through the torso. Obi-Wan just takes a metal plate, slaps it on his forehead. He's alive!
You know what? It's just unfair. You know, Maul got his entire torso cut off. Why did he not die? And then we got to lose our Qui-Gon. Come on.
Yeah.
Pre-armor, Boba Fett is great. It's like, I want the armor, give me the armor, or I'll kill the child.
Yeah, and he was straight serious. Like he had the gun sights on
Yeah.
the child.
Yep.
I don't know if it would have worked though. if it,
No, I
like,
don't think it would have, because at the time he had the force field up.
Yeah, I think it would have been fine, but
Well, like, that also is a character bit for Din, because Din is that worried about
Yeah.
the child and cares for him that much that he's considering holstering his gun, his blaster. So
and kind of like subverting his creed and giving him, this armor to someone at the time believed didn't deserve it until later in the episode.
stick he has is obviously it's a sand person stick, right? It's a Tuscan weapon, but that is based on traditional weaponry from Fiji. And I saw someone on Twitter, presumably who was from Fiji, who reacted really positively to it.
How do we actually meant to say his first name? Because I always say Tamira.
Tomorrow.
I say Temu Era, but I might be wrong.
I say tomorrow.
What made me sort of chuckle was when she's doing the thing with the boulder, and that dude on the turret is just like, I'm gonna break it apart. I'm gonna break it. Oh no, I'm dead.
I swear, stormtroopers are the most incompetent people I've ever seen.
I said this to my mum because I was watching it with my family at the time. I'm like, as soon as the stormtroopers came out of the hangar, I was like, oh, they could just stand in front of them and they'd be fine.
You literally had the Mando just standing there in front of them.
Yeah.
And the tragedy happens.
The tragedy.
Yeah, the Razor Crest
The ship.
blows up.
He's
Been
gonna hang
duffed
around.
up so much this season, foreshadowing much.
I can't wait for him to use the spear. I cannot wait. You remember him from Game of Thrones when he fought with the spear?
Yeah, he
fought
lost.
He lost, but God, he did some nice looking moves in Game of Thrones. And it's the same thing. It's a spear. I would love to see what he could do.
They take the child, which I guess is supposed to be the real tragedy, even though I'm still sad about the ship. We get the confirmation from Boba that they've sort of recanonized his father being a foundling. That's better than have him just be some
Random.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? He has the armor.
From what we've seen of him so far, I think Gideon is a pretty good villain. Obviously, there's more to see, but
Yeah, he's not done a lot yet, really.
No. That's what I worry about.
No.
It's like, I hope they don't just like end him end of this season, because it's kind of like,
It'd
who
be
was
like
he?
It'd be like the Grand Inquisitor all over again.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
guy who's got this amazing presence and is portrayed wonderfully by Jason Isaacs.
Yeah.
You can tell he's a real villain, but then he's bumped off at the end of the first season, only to be replaced by two other Inquisitors who are way inferior than him.
Mhm.
And you're just like, why? Why?
That's what I worry about, because it's like, he's such a good character, and he has such a story that he still needs to be told. Like, come on, let's keep him around there.
Would it also be too far to assume that at one point he'd want to maybe use Grogu himself as like a soldier or a weapon?
This is kind of going on to my whole complaint of like last week of like, you're gonna have to wait another 100 years before this little piece of shit can do anything remotely useful to you. So I think it's literally just, he's like, okay.
We still need to figure out exactly what he wants Grogu for. He's the donor of something, so is it Palpatine?
I'm straight Palpatine. I am almost... If they gave me another answer, it would never have crossed my mind. At this point, I'm 100% in the boat. It's Palpatine. What else could it be?
Yeah.
You're the Empire. You're based on like the Nazis. What would the Nazis want? To bring back their leader. What would the Empire want? To bring back their leader. Actually, I'm going to say, if there was another reason he wants Grogu, I'm going to be disappointed. The episode ends with, of course, Mando going back all the way to
Navarro,
yeah, and trying to get Bill Burr.
Of all the people.
Yeah, that one got me confused as well. Why the fuck what was Bill Burr's character?
He was an ex-Imperial. But
and he's good at tracking ships,
just breaking people out of prison, I suppose. But I can only think that's why he's after him, just because he was on a prison busting mission with him before, so he thinks, oh, he'd be a good fit for getting Grogu out.
Mm.
But again, like he's met so many more people since Bo-Katan, Ahsoka. Is he not going to go for any of them who would be way better?
Yeah, you would imagine, hey, I
Does
need a Jedi who can feel out Grogu. I'm gonna go get Ahsoka.
Does Din have a reliable way to contact Bo though?
I suppose not.
Because like, did she give him anything before she left to do her thing? I don't think she did. Did she? No.
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 We don't know where she was heading off anyway, or what her end story was. But Ahsoka is assumably still on Corvus.
Bo has the most reason to be there, though, because she wants the Darksaber back. So eventually she is going to cross paths with Gideon. That's inevitable.
Whether or not that's this season, I'm doubtful for this season. We only have 2 episodes left, and most likely...
If they suddenly do turn around and show that Bo is going to be in these next 2 episodes, then hell yeah, I'm down for it.
No,
yeah,
definitely,
sure. I do worry that this show is just now going to be... Not now, but it's kind of going down that road of like, okay, you know, Mando is cool, but now there's these characters. And he's going to get more and more sidelined and more back. And then you get to this point of like, why is this show even called Mandalorian? And my analogy for it is like, you're watching this balloon be kind of blown up. It looks better and better the bigger that it gets. It's like so magnificent watching it. But as it's getting bigger, stretch marks are beginning to like show on it. And you're like, they're stretch marks. That's how I feel about this episode. It was awesome. But I'm just a little worried for this show going forward. I don't want this show to become, you know, character of the week show, you know? Like, we've had 3 episodes in a row where basically this story has been, this is this character from extended stories. They're going to do something within the story. Bo-Katan, Ahsoka Tano, now Boba. And even in those 2 episodes, it wasn't that bad. This one felt really bad in that Mando really did nothing.
Joe Schmo, who was bought Disney Plus, unless they've already watched Clone Wars and Rebels, isn't going to know who Ahsoka or Bo-Katan are. Okay. But they're definitely going to recognise Boba Fett. Do we think 2-part finale?
2-part finale.
2-part finale. It's going to be a big finale, you know. It's going to be huge. I don't know if Ahsoka is going to like pop in, maybe. Then Bo-Katan might pop in. Who knows? At this point, like, who does know? Like, you really can't tell.
Our favourite site, Lawrence, Screen Rant. I think they said something along the lines of maybe Mace Windu is who Grogu connected to.
Oh no,
Lawrence, you never saw him die.
No. No, like if the cliffhanger of this season is if they kill off Gideon, and if the cliffhanger is Thrawn, as they teased a few weeks back,
or you just see a dude in robes, and you turn around and it's Samuel L. Jackson.
No,
and he says,
drop it.